Hello FME friends, and welcome to this 2025.0 feature demonstration video. In this video I will demonstrate using FME Flow as a storage point for database and web connections. In a large organization with multiple FME users, managing a directory of connections needs to be efficient and secure. It needs to support different levels of access and maintain consistency in naming. FME 2025.0 introduces new capabilities for connection management by allowing FME Flow to be used as this center of control. Let's take a look at how it works. Starting in FME Workbench, I visit the Options page, known as the Preferences page on Mac, and click the tab for default paths. Here I can change my connection storage from personal database to FME Flow. Notice that I can select which FME Flow instance and login I will use. In this case, I will use the super user account on a 2025 instance of FME Flow. Having made this change, I can now use any connections that are stored on FME Flow and which are accessible to the account I am logged in with. It's important to note that the FME Flow connection storage doesn't automatically synchronize with existing connections in my local connection store. Here I have switched back to my local connection store. I have many connections here that I want to transfer to FME Flow storage. There are several ways to achieve this. Firstly, in the Manage Web Services dialog, there is an upload button to upload the selected web service. Secondly, I can right-click on the service in the Web Connections dialog and choose the upload option. Thirdly, I can select all of my services, right-click and choose Export. Then I will switch back to the FME Flow storage option and re-import the services. Other methods would be to use the Publish tool to upload a connection or recreate the connections from scratch. On FME Flow itself, I can find all of my connections under the Connections and Parameters section of the interface. Because I connected to Flow using the super user account, all of the connections are owned by the super user and can, by default, only be used by them. For example, back in FME Workbench, I changed my FME Flow connection to use a less privileged account on the same Flow server. My web connections list is now empty because this account does not have permission to access the connections uploaded to the super user account. If the super user wishes to share their connections with another account on FME Flow, they can do that back in the Flow interface. Firstly, they locate the service to be shared and click the Share with Others button. Next, they choose the user or role to share the connection with. Then they choose the level of permissions to give to the user or role. Finally, they can click Share and the connection can now be used by others. If they connect to the Flow storage in Workbench, the connection will now be available to them. This permission can be revoked by the connection owner at any time, simply by removing the user from the list of shares. Also, of course, the connection can be removed completely. Here are some final points of interest. With this functionality, you can use FME Flow as a storage repository only. You don't need to use the connections on Flow in any way. When you delete a connection on FME Flow, it immediately becomes unavailable for use by any FME form with which it is synchronized, even if the display isn't immediately updated. Similarly, when you delete a connection on FME form, it is also immediately deleted on FME Flow. I hope you found this video interesting and that you will enjoy the new functionality. Look out for other video demos for the 2025.0 release.